What's going on, everyone? Scott here. Welcome back to the channel. Pretty Little Liars Summer School, Episode 4. Coming off a thrilling Episode 3 after Mouse's birthday party situation, so let's just dive right into the episode. We start the episode with a video of Rose Waters tied up and Archie's kind of walking around her. This is on Spooky Spaghetti. Mouse is explaining to the girls what happened in that Rosie Ricotta's where she was trapped. They realize that they're all final girls, so any one of them could be next to be targeted by A or Rose Waters. Farron's like, I'll take her down myself. They try Dr. Sullivan to try to schedule an emergency session. Doesn't answer, so they leave a voicemail. Mouse asks Lola, her grandma, about the phone call she got to drop her off at her birthday party. She said her name was Rose and that she was calling from the other side. Mouse tells the girls, like, what if she was a ghost? And Noah's like, nope, no ghost stuff, can't do that. Dr. Sullivan's office calls and said she had a minor accident. They won't tell her where she is at, though. Imogen says it can't be a coincidence that this happened, the night of Mouse being attacked. Noah says, as we learned last year, we need to keep our heads down and mouths shut. Imogen's going to try to find her and get the tea. Kelly tweaks the scene for the church play that her and Greg are doing, and the pastor is not having it. Imogen finds Dr. Sullivan. She lies and said that she was her daughter to get in to see her. Dr. Sullivan was leaving her office, taking the stairs, and someone pushed her down. She suspects a former patient, but she didn't see who it was. She asks about the urgent-sounding call that Imogen gave and left a voicemail for. Imogen says, oh, it was a false alarm. Tabby gets an unknown caller. She answers and freaks out, but it's actually someone from PIF, the horror film festival there in Philadelphia, and wondering if she had anything else to send in. And if she does, she has 2 days. She doesn't have anything, but Christian offers to help her. Imogen fills the girls in on what happened with Dr. Sullivan. They're wondering why that A is keeping tabs on her. They ask Mouse what's wrong. She has kind of this weird look on her face. She said she might be responsible for creating Bloody Rose. I guess after the whole Archie Millwood massacre situation, she went on and posted stuff about Archie and about his mask and, whatnot and what it was made of, how it was sewed together with leather. And then people saw that and ran with it. She thinks that she might have created Bloody Rose or, the mystery of Bloody Rose on Spooky Spaghetti in terms. They say, no, that's not on you, and says Imogen, that makes me think it's not Rose Waters underneath that mask, which it kind of seems like that's a possibility right now. Mouse says, we can use Spooky Spaghetti to find the real Rose Waters if that's not her under the mask. Tabby tells them they might need some help, that she might need some help shooting her short for Piff if she can figure out what it'll be about. We see Tabby back at home thinking about what to write and, what to shoot the short about, and she has a flashback with Chip. They're kind of going over, some cinematic undertaking ideas, what they want to shoot. Tells Christian about her plan the next day and the storyline. Christian encourages her to be in front of the camera, as well as obviously directing it. Imogen is with Dr. Sullivan in the hospital, and Dr. Sullivan's like, don't you have anything better to do on this nice summer day? They're playing crossword, and Imogen has a flashback with her mom in the hospital where Imogen looks like broke her arm of some sort in a cheerleading accident. Dr. Sullivan asks, where'd you go? And she tells her how, she used to play crosswords with her mom. Dr. Sullivan tells her, I'd like to tell you it gets easier, but grief isn't linear. Imogen asks if there's anyone she can call for her, and Dr. Sullivan's like, no, I'm fine. The girls show up and shoot Tabby's movie at the movie theater. There's a call at Noah's work, the pizza spot, and the boss answers. Another prank call, it seems like he says, because he picks up and no one was there. Noah says, I need to take a break, and runs out back. Jen comes out to check on her, and she's like, I can't deal with him today. And Jen's like, you want to just get out of here? She's like, we can go to my dad's house with a pool. He's out of town. No one will be there. Mouse is posting on Spooky Spaghetti, trying to find Rose. Ash is there with her as she's doing this. Henry shows up at the pool with flowers for Farron, apologizes for how everything went and how he reacted that we saw at the end of last episode. Says he signed up for swimming lessons because he wanted to be close to her. Farron's like, I'm a lifeguard. I can teach you how to swim. He's like, that sounds way better than the why. Noah and Jen show up at her dad's house, raid the alcohol, play pool, try on a bunch of clothes, go in the actual pool outside. I guess Jen's dad kind of abandoned, didn't help Jen and her mother, and Noah's like, we should just take the money to help your mom. She's like, we can take one of his Rolexes, he has a bunch in there. Estelle's dad calls Imogen, she answers, and they want her to go watch Estelle while they're out of town for a death in the family, and they're like, we'll be home tomorrow. I guess Estelle has an ear infection, that's why they don't want to take her on the plane. Kelly shows up at the church and sees the pastor and her mom getting busy in the church. Kind of hypocritical, as Kelly says. Tabby is editing the movie, and she has a flashback with Chip, writing down the idea for the movie that they actually talked about, this specific idea. Imogen gets a call from Mr. Winters. He says there was an alert from one of the security systems that a window is open. Gets a little spooky. She calls Johnny to hang out as she's freaking out. Johnny says he'll come over. She grabs a knife and heads upstairs to Estelle's room. We flash over to Farron teaching Henry how to swim, sort of, mainly just making out in the pool. Kelly and Greg show up and like, whoops, looks like we had the same idea. Kelly and Greg, they offer to leave. Farron's like, no, just jump in, it's fine. Imogen goes upstairs and finally gets to Estelle's room. She sees the windows open in her room, grabs Estelle and heads downstairs with the knife. There's a knock at the door. Thankfully, it's Johnny. He's like, don't take this the wrong way, but are you having a full-on spiral right now? He takes Estelle and the knife to let her have a moment. Kelly says Henry's been talking about their relationship at church. Says he's been talking about it's been a struggle with Farron lying to him for so long. Johnny put Estelle back in her room to go back to sleep. Imogen tells Johnny about someone going after Mouse and Dr. Sullivan. She's like, I gotta stop. I don't want to put you in danger or you run for the hills. He's like, most of the girls I date try to be perfect the first couple months, and then it's like, and then Imogen's like, did you say date? And he's like, I just mean I'm here for you. Then Mr. Winters calls in during this interaction and says, saw a young man entering on the Ring camera. She's like, don't worry, that's my friend. He's just leaving. Johnny's like, I can sit in the car and wait for you. I got nothing else to do since you ruined my reputation in this town when Imogen went off on the one girl he was flirting with at the creamery. Mouse gives some responses to her post about places that people might have seen Rose Waters or think they might have seen her. Kelly gets home and her mom is like, where have you been? And we kind of go away, don't really know what was happening there, what they kind of imply there, but kind of a weird sequence. She wakes up on the floor in a room to a picture of her family with her dad, an X across her dad's face, then comes out and her mom's kind of sitting there creepily like, want breakfast? And she seems kind of in a daze. The next morning also, Imogen goes outside and sees Johnny actually stayed. She goes to his car and they share a moment, they kiss. Tabby shows Christian the movie, says it's great, but then Tabby comes clean about how he spitballed the idea with Chip. Says it was her idea, but it's still a reminder of something, a part of her life, maybe always will be, in terms of creating this with Chip. Christian's like, you don't owe him anything. Like, don't let him take this away from you. The movie rocks no matter what happens with Piff. Tabby ends up going in and kissing him. Noah gets an unknown call. Actually, it's from the jail. Jen's dad had her locked up for stealing one of the Rolexes, presumably, and she'll be locked up unless she can make bail. Goes and tells Sean and lies and was basically saying that she wasn't there, just said that she went there to get her stuff and, kind of just conveniently leaves out the fact that she wasn't there, but she needs bail for $2,000. Sean's like, all right, let's do it. Let's go get her out. Tabby submits the short. The mother of the girl who was struggling in the pool shows up to thank Farron, says she's thankful that there's people like you in the world. Jen apologizes to Noah for getting her involved. Noah's like, no, it was my idea to steal the Rolex anyway. And they kiss, which they've been hinting at, throughout the beginning of the season. Ash and Mouse set off to visit these places that people might have seen Rose Waters. Henry calls Farron. She ignores the phone, the cell phone, the house phone rings, and it's actually Rose telling her to come meet her, basically, like it's your turn, you're the final girl. Farron's like, when and where? I'm ready. She goes to this abandoned place, sees a lifeguard dummy with a note with Farron written on the front of it. The note says, the final girl can never lose her strength if the gritter, I believe is what they called it. I had to look this up. It looked like scaffolding or something. I don't know. I'm not a construction guy, but says if it hits, you have to hold it up. If it hits the ground before time runs out, someone you love dies. Mouse calls Imogen to ask where she saw Rose at the soup kitchen. Her and Ash had previously split up to try to get to all these places where people had possibly seen Rose, but Mouse is at a place where she says Rose could possibly be living here. They try to call Farron. Obviously, she doesn't answer. They have a picture of Rose and begin to walk around through all these tents to try to ask people if they've seen her. Guy says, oh yeah, she lives over there under the bridge. They walk up to this lady standing under the bridge and they say, excuse me, are you Rose Waters? It's her. They ask about her son Archie. She's like, Archie's alive, and immediately sprints, takes off, and then proceeds to jump off the bridge into the water. And it's like, whoa, that escalated quickly. Mouse is like, we need proof that she was Rose Waters or all this was for nothing. They go back to her stuff and find a picture of Angela Waters. They find her file as well from, you guessed it, Radley. Nice little callback to the original PLL there. And it turns out Dr. Sullivan was Rose Waters' doctor. So there's a nice big reveal. Farron makes it holding up the thing, the girder, I believe they called it again. I don't know. Big piece of metal. She makes it holding up the thing for, I think, 2 hours. And then A, because we're obviously know now that that's not Rose Waters, so A shows up walking towards her. Farron pulls out a little box cutter knife that she brought with her. A obviously has a knife as well. They kind of tussle, actually, go back and forth. First kind of interaction we've seen with this A in terms of physical confrontation. He actually gets a cut on Farron's arm. Farron's end up running off, and she's able to just barely make it over the fence before A gets there. Obviously, she was struggling because she was sore from doing this task for the last 2 hours. And then that is the end of the episode. And wow, so now that we know it's not Rose Waters in terms of who A is or who's dressed up as Bloody Rose or, whatever you want to say. So who is A? I feel this is like peak what Pretty Little Liars is, during its, original show run. It's like, who's A? Constant, paranoia and trying to figure out who A could possibly be, certain suspects. I'm still sticking to my, from episode 1, prediction that Kelly and her mom, if that truly is Kelly, I don't know. I've been kind of thinking that, I think I said it in the first episode of this season that, are we sure that that's actually Kelly and not Karen? Obviously, Karen died in the first season, supposedly, but I remember that was kind of the thought, and I think Farron accused Kelly of being Karen in season 1 as well. But I think there's something, they got to be involved in that. In terms of someone else, who knows? I feel like they're trying to set up a little red herring with Dr. Sullivan here. Obviously, they have her falling and hurting her ankle, right? She's in a boot. And then now they reveal this, that she was Rose Waters' doctor. So now I feel like they're kind of, setting up that red herring like, wait, Bloody Rose walks with a limp. And now Dr. Sullivan has this connection to Rose Waters, who is obviously connected to Archie. So I feel like they're trying to set this up as a red herring. I don't actually think Dr. Sullivan is behind all of this. I feel like it'll just be a classic PLL red herring here, but I don't know. Definitely interesting. Want to learn more about that. I know that was kind of the talk before this series with Dr. Sullivan coming back, that hey, she's gonna have some secrets revealed, I guess you could say. I did see, so that's my only prediction right now too, that something about Kelly or Karen and her mom, I feel like they're still somehow involved in this as of right now, unless it's a character we haven't met yet or haven't seen a lot from. I'm still not suspicious really of any of the significant others in terms of Sean, Jen, Christian, Johnny, none of them. The only one, possibly Ash. I know I did see people bring up some good points online after this episode, and supposedly on Reddit. I haven't seen any of the Reddit stuff, but people bringing up some discussion about Ash being, absent during, some of these instances. Obviously wasn't there when we physically saw A on Mouse's birthday party day at the Rosie Ricotta's. Didn't see him there, but obviously I don't think that really adds up because he, went and got her grandma. Obviously we don't know the distance, how far, Mouse's house was from that Rosie Ricotta's or whatever, if he could have got there, got back, whatever. And then obviously they split up here tonight before they found Rose, and then before, everything happened with Farron. So, I mean, I don't know. But this is what makes the show great. This is why I love it. This is why I love the original, growing up watching that. So I'm excited. I think it's going really well. I know it's numbers-wise doing really well as well. Consistently top 10 on Max. So that's awesome to see. Hope that means continued success and, continues to get renewed for some seasons to come. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one for episode 5. Peace out.